So I love the fact that I mean, the culture at SDR is really about, I always tell people that, and a couple things I want to make clear. First of all, we were talking about private equity a second ago. I don't want anybody to think that I would say private equity is not a good buyer, right? But seems to be sort of the voodoo doll. I don't want to sell to a private equity.
It's more of a
boogeyman.
boogeyman.
That's the one. Sorry. Yeah. But that's not necessarily true because not all private equity firms are created equal, right? There are different stories behind each one of them. And as somebody put it very aptly to me the other day, there was a seller that said, I don't want to work with private equity, but then they saw the offer. Right. And so it was like, well, maybe we should talk to them. And so am I wrong about that? Yeah. There's two or three different types of buyers: private equity, strategic, right? Financial, family office type stuff.
Private equity should not be viewed as the boogeyman among business owners. It all comes down to alignment of that business owner's goals. And the strategic buyer, the family office, private equity, they all have objectives that they are trying to meet. And a big part of what we do at SDR is deeply understand the business owner's values, objectives, and priorities, and present different options and leave no stone unturned. Present different options of potential buyers that are going to be aligned with that business owner and their families' objectives, priorities, and values.
So this goes back to talking about buyers, private equity, strategic. Give me an example of a strategic buyer.
Sure.
What would that look like?
One of my favorite stories is a business we represented called Kenny's Key Lime Pies. Kenny started making pies out of his apartment in Atlanta. And he got to the point where he was one of the largest producers of key lime pies in the country, and realized that he wanted to sell the business. He had family members working in the business. There was some real estate involved. He was a luminary and an incredible name within the community. And he did not want to change the location. He wanted to make sure that the real estate was advantageous to his family in the terms of the deal. He wanted to make sure that both the family members that were working within the business, the culture that he had established, and the team were cared for.
Sounds like a great guy.
Amazing guy. Yeah. And he is the common business owner across this country. When you said it earlier, and it's very true. I mean, that business is a child. It's a baby to these business owners. And so in the case of Kenny, a strategic buyer could be a company like Sara Lee that was going to acquire Kenny's Key Lime Pies. And it was no longer going to be Kenny's Key Lime Pies. It was going to be Sara Lee. And they were going to move operations and completely, change, but they were going to pay a significant amount. And Kenny and his family, they would be pulled out of the business, and likely the culture would change to reflect Sara Lee. None of that is wrong, good, bad, or ugly. It is just one flavor of a potential buyer. A strategic buyer would have a really long-term vision for that company as well. A family office would also have a long-term vision, may not pay the same premium. They're going to pay a premium, but maybe not the same premium the strategic buyer would, but they would be more likely to want to keep a lot of the same leadership in place, allow Kenny to change his role and phase out of the business incrementally and over time, and really allow the business to continue to keep doing what it has proved it can do with the full support of that family office. And then, of course, you would have private equity that would want to come in, and they are going to try to scale the business, whether it is locally or through other locations, and then sell that business after 3 to 7 years. And so we were able to give Kenny, in this example, different options. And what was best for him the culture, the team members, and his family was in fact the family office. And so that's a wonderful example of the differences between private equity, a strategic buyer, and a family office, and what that can mean for each individual.